In this video, we're going to be reviewing writing equations and independent and dependent variable. Right now, I guess I want to start first by talking about, let me go back here, get a blank page. Y equals 2x plus 4. Okay, first off, my x right here, this is going to be my independent variable. The y is the dependent. In this, it's because, see, the y right here depends on whatever happens here on this part of the equation. The number that is attached to the variable, this is your coefficient. It is not, I repeat, it is not always the one that comes first. It's the one that is attached to the variable. The one that is over here by itself, that is the constant. Okay, that is the constant. Now, I did put a note, let's see, on some of my other ones over here. Let me skip over here. Right here, see where it says coefficient? A lot of times when we see the word per and each, that's going to help us figure out which number is the coefficient. That's not always true, though, but a majority of the time it is. But this is, when it's a one-time charge, it's going to be your constant. When it's something that happens just once, that's what that 2 is. This coefficient is going to happen each time my x is increased. So right here, looking at number 1, the first thing I'm going to do is it says, I want you to pause the video and try and answer these questions. And then come back and see how you did. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to underline 84, and I'm going to circle where it says $68 per hour. Now, you're going to write an equation that talks about the total cost, C, and H is the hours of labor. I can't even talk today. Okay, first off, for me, it's easier to write the equation. You don't have to do it in this order, but this is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to write it 2 different ways. One, I'm going to write it with x and y. I'm going to start with y equals. Now, $84 is a one-time fee. I'm going to write it 84 plus, now 68 per hour. 68, and that's going to be times my x. So I have 68x. Or if you want to use it with these variables that are up here, my total cost equals, and I can write it like this, 68 times the number of hours plus 84. Right here where it says the dependent variable is the total cost. Okay, dependent's always going to be total something because it's the end result. Independent variable, I'm going to have number of hours. Down here, when it took 8 hours to fix Paula's car, hours is my x, my cost is my y. So if I put the 8 here, I'm going to take here and use my equation, I have 68 times 8 plus 84. So now when you go and you solve that, I'll take, in my calculator, I've got 68 times 8, or you can do it by hand, plus 84, and I get 628. So my answer is 628. Right here, when I go into y equals, if I go into y equals and I put 68x plus 84 and press second graph, I can go and look where x is 8, and I define y to be 628. The next one, well, not that one. We already talked about that. Pause the video, come back and see if you got the answers right. Here it talks about a parking lot is $1.25 for the first hour. It's 70 cents for each additional hour. First off, it wants us, we need to write the equation, and then we have our variables, P and H. So right here, my dependent variable, Look, it says total parking cost. So I'm going to write total cost. My independent variable is my number of hours. Now, my equation. My dependent variable, y, independent x. So this says I've got p and I've got h. So technically when it says dependent variable, I should put p and h. I'm going to go ahead and write the words out though. All right, so total cost, p equals 70 cents for each hour. I didn't mean to write that. I need to write an H. Plus 125. You got to be careful when you write it like this because of what we're going to do in just a second. First off, another way you could write it, which is a little bit more correct, would be to write P equals 0.75 times the hours minus 1. Well, why is it minus 1? Because the first hour is $1.25 plus 125. Now, we can write this either way we can do it, because now down here when we find the cost, first off, I've got hours and I've got the cost, okay? Or I'll put P, I guess, parking cost. Now, it says for 2 full days. The problem is it talks about the number of hours. So we know that 2 full days is 24 hours. The only thing is you can't find it for 24. You can't put 24 right here because the first hour, well, okay, if you did it for this one right here, you could put 24 in there and did it this way. But see, when you put in there 24 minus 1, that's 23. And if you were trying to find your answer for the red one right there, you would go in here and find 23. So I'm going to do it this way. I put 75. Sorry, this should be 70. There we go. Let's get that fixed. I put a 5 in there for some reason. 70. 0.70 times 23 plus 1.25. Okay, so if I go in there, either way I do it, I got 70 times 23 plus $1.25 gives me $17.35. Next one. Pause the video and come back and see how you did. In this case, I've got 825 miles, and the ship is moving 22 miles per hour. Okay? Define the variables. What are the two things we're talking about? Well, I see miles and I see hours. Okay? My independent, let's just do this. Let's do H equals number of hours, and we'll put M equals miles. You could put total miles. So when I go to write this, I have M equals. Now, let's go back a second. Up here, which one of these is my coefficient? Coefficient is what goes with the variable. Well, you have 22 miles per hour. This is my coefficient. This is the starting point. This is the initial thing that's happening. So this is my constant. So I'm going to have 22 times the number of hours plus my constant, 825. You can write this, M equals 825 plus 22H. You can do that as well. All right, now it says, how far is a ship from Cozumel after 1 day? See, this is hours, and this is miles. You have to go and change this for 1 day. 1 day is 24 hours. So you would have to put 24 in there. I would have 22 times 24 plus 825. So as I go and I multiply those together, 22 times 24, 528 plus 825, my answer is 1,353. That's what would go right here. This is how many miles. So let's go over here. Let's go to the next one. Pause the video. Come back and see how you did. Right here, I've got $2 per day and a $3 maintenance fee for each DVD. Now see, there's that mess up with the each, but you have a maintenance fee. Okay? Now, to define your variables, what are the things that we're talking about? I've got D for, whoops, I didn't mean to write that line right there. Here we go. Equals the number of days. And then I have, let's see, what does it talk? The store charges, and we're talking about dollars, so we're going to write total, oops, I don't want to write total cost. Let me write C. C equals total cost. Now, up here, which one of these two things is my coefficient? Coefficient is the thing that I'm going to multiply by. Here it is right here. Here's my coefficient because it's got to multiply by the number of days. This is a one-time charge for the DVD. One-time charge is your constant. So my equation, the total cost equals $2 times each day plus $3, which is a one-time fee. How much would it cost to rent the DVD for 1 week? Remember, this is days, and this is cost. Well, 1 week, we can't put 1 in there. 1 week equals 7 days. So I will put a 7 in here, and we're going to have 2 times 7 plus 3. 2 times 7 is 14 plus 3, 17. It is $17. Next one. Right here, pause the video, come back and see how you do. Okay. First off, I've got $3 to connect plus $2 for each minute. Okay? My two variables. On a certain airline, a phone call costs. So I'm going to have a total cost, and I'm going to have each minute. So I'm going to put M equals the number of minutes, and C equals the total cost. When I write the equation, my total cost equals, now I got to figure out which is my coefficient and my constant. This right here, this is a one-time charge. This is my constant. This right here, I'm multiplying by the number of minutes. If you multiply it by the variable, that is the coefficient. So I have 2 times the number of minutes plus the constant, and the constant is 3. It says determine the cost of a phone call for 1 hour. So right here, I've got my minutes and my cost. And it says for at least 1 hour. Well, when I look here, I've got minutes, 60 minutes equals 1 hour. So I'm going to look here where the minutes are 60. I'm going to go 2 times 60 plus 3. I have 120 plus 3 means it will be $123. Wow, that's a lot. And that's how I would find it. So let's recap real quick. Y equals, maybe I have it this way. I want you to figure out which is the independent variable, the dependent, the coefficient, and the constant. Pause the video, come back and see how you did. First off, I know X is my independent variable, Y is my dependent. The number with the variable is my coefficient. The number that is by itself is the constant. Let's try one more. Here we go. Pause the video and see if you can label it coefficient, constant, and the independent and dependent. I know that x is my independent variable, y is my dependent. I know that the number that goes with my variable is the coefficient. The one that is by itself is my constant. Okay, let's try one more. Okay, c equals 2t plus 8. Pause the video and try and label your parts. T is my independent variable. C is my dependent. My 8 is by itself. It is the constant. 2 is with the variable. It is my coefficient.